Hi there, Diesel Johnny Boy here. I'd like to talk to you about something a little bit different from ram pumps and engines and that sort of thing. My other great interest is nature and conservation, so I just thought I'd take a little video of my garden and how I've tried to enhance it for nature and conservation, encouraging wildlife, that sort of thing. I haven't got a huge garden, and it's in the town, really, on the edge of the town. So, wildlife is always under pressure. So I thought, let's give the wildlife a bit more of a chance and, try and, give it some places to live. We can all do this, doesn't matter how big or small your garden is. You can leave little bits around the edges, and that will be really good for the wildlife. So I'll just show you some of the little enhancements I've done in my garden. Well, one of the most recent things is this pond. Now, this is my little wildlife pond. It's made out of an old bathtub, which I was working on a house, and we no longer wanted this old tub, so I thought, yeah, that would make quite a good pond. It's quite deep, not massively deep, maybe 18 inches. Now, you shouldn't put fish in your wildlife pond, because fish devour everything basically, and a small pond like that can't really sustain fish. They'll wipe out everything in there. So refrain from putting fish in your wildlife pond. This particular pond I put in about 3 or 4 weeks ago now, and it's got, it's teeming with wildlife actually. I introduced a bit of weed from a wild pond that was nearby to my house, and always try and put native plants in your pond. Avoid putting exotics in, because they're not really designed to live in this country. They're not adapted, and they can cause all sorts of problems. And don't put any sort of non-native weed from. If you've got non-native weed in a pond, then don't put that out in the wild, because that causes it can cause a catastrophe for the native species. A lot of some of these plants, aquatic plants that have been introduced from places like New Zealand and other countries, have caused some real problems and choked up ponds and literally ruined them. So that's just a little quick tip there. My pond has basically got native things. I've got a bit of duckweed in there, some water milfoil, which is an aquatic plant. You can't really see that in there, it's a bit difficult to see. I've planted some marsh marigolds in the like a shallow bit. This particular pond, it's not your normal bathtub. It's sort of an irregular shaped bathtub. It's got some shallow bits in it which are quite handy, like shallow shelvy bits, and I've planted some marsh marigold in there. If you're using an ordinary bathtub, then you can create some shallow areas with rocks and that sort of thing, because you need to let the wildlife be able to climb out the pond. So if you've got steep sides, just create a few shallow areas with some rocks and that sort of thing. So yeah, pond, one of the key things to have in your wildlife garden. Looking around my garden, it's quite good. It's quite a secluded garden, even though I'm in the town. I can't really be seen by the neighbours, which is quite handy. Got a lot of these dense bay trees growing around the edge. I let those get quite wild and scrubby, because the birds like that, gives them good cover. What else? We've got a euonymus there. These aren't particularly native, these plants, I'm afraid. The bay and the euonymus, they're not native. But we've got a nice hawthorn up there. That's in full flower. That's a lovely tree. The birds like that. There's a myrtle down here. That's evergreen. It's not native, I'm afraid. But here we are. Look, I've got a hazel there. That has a few nuts in the autumn, which is good. Good for wildlife. And I leave the bramble to grow. I know bramble isn't very popular because it's a bit spiky and prickly, but it's great in the summer. At the end of the summer, when the berries are on there, the birds love eating the berries. So the edges are sort of a bit wild. I've let the ivy grow in there, sort of come out a bit, so that's good. Looking around here, I've got a laurel growing up here. I let that get quite dense. There's a big conifer up there. Around the edges again, around here. Let your edges grow out a bit. You don't have to keep trimming everything. It doesn't have to be like a bloody snooker table. you know, we all sort of keep things a bit clinical nowadays, and it's no good for wildlife. So look, my edges, look, I've let these daisies grow up and around the edges, and that's really good for wildlife. Got all sorts of wood lice, everything lives in there, and that's all food for the birds and other wildlife. I mean, my garden's not a complete jungle. I do cut the grass here. I've got a cut grass area. And look, I've let this patch up here grow, and that's got like daisies growing there. They're about to flower. They're going to be really pretty. So it looks good as well. Around the edge of the house itself, we've got quite a lot of dense planting. We've got geraniums in there, and there's some wild Solomon seal growing here, ferns and things. So yeah, rule is sort of basic rule: if you want the wildlife, let the edges grow out a bit. Try to not cut your grass too much. I mean, my grass, it's not really grass to be honest, it's more weeds and moss, but you know, it's all green. I don't really like just a monoculture of grass. I think that's rather boring. So yeah, there we go. I can hear there's a magpie up there. I've got all sorts of birds, and I think I've counted up to 15 species in a weekend. You got mainly the town birds, like we got tree sparrows, blue tits, great tits, coal tits, robins, collared doves. You know, the typical town species you get in the southern England. So here we go. So I strongly advise everybody, and be great, urge you, make your garden a little bit more wildlife friendly. It doesn't have to be a complete jungle, but just a little wild area. To just leave it, just leave it to grow wild. And if you've got time and the space, stick a pond in. You'll be amazed by what you see, especially if you've got kids. Kids love all this sort of thing. Get your kids off the PlayStation, get them out in the garden, get them back to looking at what's living around you. You'll be amazed. Anyway, there you go. That's Diesel Johnny Boy signing out. I hope you enjoy, and get out there and do some work for nature. Over and out.